Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the game week edition of Pod by the Bay. I'm your host, Nathan Vaughn, joined alongside me, Seth Varnadore, Robert Steeg. Fellas, it's been a long 8 months. It's been a very long time since the off season ended. The off season started, I should say, with a final win of the season for your South Florida Bulls after they crushed Syracuse 45-0 in the Boca Raton Bowl. But we turn the page. 2024. The season kicks off Saturday at 7 p.m. ESPN Plus against the Bethune Cookman University Wildcats. Fellas, how we feeling as we prep for game one?
Good. Feeling pretty good. I think you've got a nice winnable game to ease into the season here, and then the rubber meets the road there after that. But should be a good week one. And football's back.
Yeah, I mean it was back this past week, so that was cool. It was shocking to see, like, I mean, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but it's such a large spread in the favor of USF for once. That was like, really, to be honest, between that and the pronunciation chart was like the only two like major takeaways I had today. Everything else is kind of like, all right, like this is all going to change between like now and week 5 anyways. So let's have some fun with it.
Yeah, and let's just jump right into it. All right, so depth chart released on Tuesday. A whole lot of oars, like a massive amount of oars. I believe there's only, I think, half the defense is solidly placed. Jason Vaughn, Doug Blue Ely, Mac Harris, Decarius Hawthorne, and Jalen Schuler. Everybody else has an oar listed by their name, which good thing, bad thing. Deshaun Rucker's listed at 2 spots as corner and also like as the nickel position. I think what head coach Alex Golish said on Tuesday and what he's kind of reiterated through fall camp is we really needed to shore up the back end, and it seems like they have in spades. It'll be interesting to see how the newcomers kind of take to this system in real life. But Seth, for you, any major kind of takeaway surprises on the step chart as we kind of look at it and review and see, what the team's going to look like game one?
I mean, I didn't think there was anything major. Just getting a little bit more clarity on the offensive line and kind of what that group might look like was probably the number one takeaway. Defensively, seeing a lot of new faces kind of on that back end was one thing, but nothing like crazy. I thought it was pretty much what we thought it was going to be for the most part. And yeah, nice to see no Ward, Michael Brown-Stevens since I drafted him. So that was solid. I felt pretty good there.
Good job by you.
And I'm really glad to know that I've been pronouncing Abdul Rahman Yassin's name correctly for the last month or so. So
I mean, was that just gut by you, or did you look it up? Like how? Because man, I thought you were just being fancy with it. I didn't actually know you were nailing the name every single time you said it.
I don't know how it seeped in there, but that's just like I think this is how I've seen it pronounced or heard it pronounced. So I'm going with it. So two big wins right there for me. And then I think the one thing defensively I thought was interesting was a guy we talked about briefly, but we haven't talked about him a lot. Decarius Hawthorne transfers over from FAU, kind of under the radar a little bit, and he's coming in and he's listed as a starter at end. So that'll be fun to watch. He's been in the defense before in the past, and he's ready to make an impact, it seems. So, yeah, but nothing too crazy. A lot of it was, what we thought.
He had 4.5 sacks at FAU in 2023. He comes over after spending a couple seasons with the Tower Orlando over there before Orlando made the jump to South Florida. The thing that also kind of stood out to me, and Seth, you and I have kind of discussed it, Tavin Ward listed as safety.
Yeah.
In
And an or.
With Kaquavius Berryhill.
He had a good spring, I thought, at safety.
Right.
So that was something that was kind of cool to see. So he had a really good spring at safety, I thought, or a really good spring game. And then I thought Kawan Banks had a really good spring game in nickel. And to see both those guys kind of, okay, they've seemed like they've continued that progress. Mm-hmm. And the spring game actually mattered a little bit. Or at corner was interesting. Ben Knox or Brent Austin. That's a guy you talked about, right? He goes by Paco.
Yeah.
And then Deshaun Rucker or Amarius Brown Bunkley. So those you see a lot of new names over there, and they're in the 2 deep. So
yeah, Paco was a guy that folks around the program were really excited about. Rucker, obviously, another guy who they were very excited about getting on campus. I don't know if the Amaris Brown Bunkley or is like legit, or he did miss practice a couple weeks ago, kind of nursing some lingering things, kind of keeping it safe. It could be kind of nursing it, keeping it safe, keeping his health under wraps. I think it may also be the situation with Rashad Cheney Jr. as well, who, if you guys were in the Ponderosa section of the Discord over the last week, we kind of, I wouldn't call it speculating. I mean, I'm not entirely sure how many people go on YouTube and say that they're someone's father and then also say that there's a 90% chance that he's not playing this year due to an injury. That seems like a really weird troll job. I did ask USF for clarification, and I was told no, he practiced last week. He's fine. At the luncheon, I did see him, in the videos that were posted from the luncheon. He was walking with a limp, but hey, I'm just which ironic as the team that we're playing on Saturday, coached by Raymond Woody, I got the nickname by his prior boss as the injury guy. So here we are, full circle moment for your boy. Defensively, those are the kind of things that stuck out to me. But the offensive line, Seth, as you mentioned, RJ Perry seems to solidify the starting left tackle position, and then left guard, which was kind of interesting. I wasn't expecting an or at that position, if I'm being totally honest, after basically the 4 starters from the bowl game, I believe, returned. And the only one they were actually replacing was Donovan Jennings, who recently got cut, was one of the last cuts for the Packers. So I thought the only position you actually had to replace was left tackle. I was worried about how RJ would have fit in. He's played some left tackle for USF, left guard, right tackle, and seemed a little stiff at times. But Golish said he's the best version of himself heading into the season opener.
That's a famous coaching phrase.
It really, best shape of your life, best version of himself right now.
That Golish loves best version of himself.
Yes.
It's a nice one.
Yeah, it's an oldie but goodie from Golish. But the left guard position still up in the air. Cole Best or Deontay Bowie. Any gut feeling? I've got mine, and I'll tell you guys mine in a second. But gut feeling, like I don't feel comfortable having your backup center also playing starting left guard. That just seems like a recipe for disaster, because if something happens to Mike Lofton, now you're switching 2 positions on the offensive line. So not a big fan of that. So I don't think it's legit, but I could be dead wrong. Seth, you've coached, you've been around college ball a long time. Is that a thing that people do? Would you be okay with that? Is that something that would be comfortable for you to possibly have to encounter?
Well, who's like your 6th best guy, I think would probably be the question, right? So like if Cole Best is in your top 5, and then your 6th best guy is a guard, well then that's probably okay. So if they feel like their guard is their, and he kind of mentioned when Golish today, when he was talking through, I think he mentioned Andrew Kilfoyle, he mentioned Cole Skinner, and he also mentioned Wilty, as he talked about having 8 guys, and those were the 3 names that aren't in the starters group that he mentioned, I believe, today. So 2 of those guys are guards. So, and I think even they have snapped. He talked about them having the ability to snap as well. So, if you feel all right, like you might even, now he's listed as, Cole Best is listed as the starting left guard and the backup center here. But, maybe in that situation, one of those other guys would step in at center and he'd stay at left guard. But it depends on who your 6th best guy is. If your 6th best guy is a guard, then I think it's okay. If you feel like the next guy up is outside at tackle or something, then maybe it's a little bit more risky.
Yeah, and of note, Andrew Kilfoyle, who's listed as backup right guard, also was nursing an injury during the middle of fall camp, so that may have set him back. In his, I honestly, I would have thought he was going to be the starting left guard if all things equal.
I feel like we'd seen that on video too, and like some of the clips in practice.
Yeah,
it looked like it was him. So
interesting, kind of how they're doing it. And they could be playing it close to the vest. Other kind of or situations that are interesting. Kelly Joyner, Naquan Wright, Teron Keith, all listed as oars in the running back room. Steeg, does that do anything for you? Is it interesting? Is it more of a, hey, Kelly's been here 45 years, so let's list him first and then go from there? Because it seems to be that in the order of tenure is not even alphabetical, so we can't even read anything into that.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I read into it was like of the running backs that we had drafted. Of course, I don't have any of the 3. So I get that to deal with.
driving when you wait.
Right. To me, and this is not an indictment of Kelly Joyner or Teron Keith or Naquan Wright, but to me, it's kind of like they're going to be situationally used. So what's the point of listing a starter? Kind of, there's times where Naquan's strengths or Teron's strengths or Kelly Joyner's strengths are going to come into play. And with how fast this offense goes, you're not subbing out your running backs to give them a breather. You're basically, Naquan gets the first drive. Maybe
Right.
if something situational comes up and you need to call timeout and you need this guy on the field like immediately, then maybe that comes into play. But to me, I think I can't even. That's also what I spend time on, is trying to figure out why certain guys were in certain orders. I have no idea why. I think they probably just gave Kelly Joyner the starting nod because he's 62 years old and going for his PhD, Masters, MBA, JD at this point. So
yeah, that's kind of what I chalked it up to.
Yeah,
honestly. And then try to get some clarification on the backup quarterback position. Seems to be up in the air. Another guy who's the best version of himself, Bryce Archie. Alex Golish mentioned that on Tuesday. I think it's pretty clear both guys will probably see some reps, hopefully early on. Hopefully it's a blowout and the Bulls can take Byram out early and give them, ideal world. Each of them get a quarter in the second half. If it's, super nuts, that'd be awesome. Maybe throw in a sprinkle of Marcellus Tate. But Bryce throws the ball like 90 miles an hour. Like throws the baseball like 90 miles an hour. I would assume it translates a little bit. We haven't really seen him uncork many deep balls. Izzy is clearly the better runner of the two. How that kind of translates into the offense probably dictates situationally for them. But kind of mention it in the Discord, like there's one catastrophic injury away from being in real trouble regardless. if I were dare to be candid there.
Can we talk about arguably the most shocking thing on this depth chart?
Absolutely.
We have 5 tight ends listed on this depth chart.
I was going to ask, do we think that means more tight end usage, or is that just hey, let's get them all on? Let's throw the boys a bone here.
Like, but isn't Dangler's not even one that's an or, right? It's like everybody's an or, and then it's like, no, Evan, you know where you stand.
Dangler and then Eccles.
Yeah. So it's Weston Wolf or Gunnar Greenwald or Peyton Singletary, kind of like how the running backs just whoever's on the field. Right. And then Evan Dangler at 4th, and then Jonathan Eccles at 5th string. I've never seen 5th string tight end listed.
Not from a team that's base 11 personnel. Like, most of the time, there's only one out there.
Like, you could throw all the wide receivers on like wide receiver because it doesn't matter because they're gonna be shifted and moved around and everything like that. Like, you could have like 9 wide receivers listed on the depth chart, but we choose to have 5 tight ends.
God
Hilarious.
Bless America. I love it so much. I think it's clear. I like that one. Definitely has no rhyme or reason to it. Like, it's not in any.
They just want everyone to know
particular order.
They want everyone to know Jonathan Eccles is 6'6", 235.
Yeah, absolutely.
They just want to make sure that got out there. Everyone's
this is like the Bucks.
Jaquan Smith with an or.
Yeah, backup slot. That could be interesting. I mean, he presents problems on the field if he can get on the field, and
he presents a lot of problems on the virtual field.
He does.
For every single person in the Discord.
He is.
He's won the Heisman, I think, for just about everyone in the Discord.
Yes. So getting him on the field would be super awesome. But I mentioned it a couple weeks ago, they are really high on Dangler, and this kind of proves it. Jonathan Eccles recently just got out of the red non-contact jersey. Another guy slowed by injury. Same with Weston Wolf, which is why I'm pretty confident in saying that Peyton Singletary is your starting tight end, regardless of the ors here. Just reading the tea leaves. Gunner is Gunner. All right. He's
solid. Steady.
But not going to be the game changer that I think this offense wants. What Wolf showed flashes of last season, what Singletary has shown flashes when he was at Cincinnati. It's just a kind of a different breed of player. And man, Eccles is just going to he's redshirting this year. I don't like. There's just not a spot for him right now, and I think that's one of the bigger takeaways for me is this team is going to be in rough shape next year. Like looking forward, the amount of graduates, 5th-year guys, 6-year guys that are in the 2 deep, it could get ugly quick next season. Briefly looking ahead.
I was just looking at the offensive line. It's pretty.
Let's live in the moment, baby.
I understand.
Let's not worry about tomorrow. Let's worry about tonight.
So,
but yeah, it's jarring. Just the amount of GRs.
Yes,
Pitbull.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's what I think 28 graduates on the roster. 26 of them are in the 2 deep. Or 26 graduates, 24 on the 2 deep. It's something ridiculous like that. And there's only 5 true freshmen on the 2 deep at all. Nico Grammatica, Josh Porter. Who's the other one? Jonathan Eccles.
James Chenault.
And Dalen Platt. Those are your 5 freshmen who cracked the 2 deep, so to speak, 3 deeps in some areas. Get ready to learn scout team, guys.
That's the name of the game, brother. Nowadays, you have another good year, you'll turn it over. That's just how it is. I think I think this will be a rare instance where you keep so many guys, possibly. Now, if they keep the momentum going in the program, but I would imagine it's not like this in a lot of other G5s, just because they kept a lot of their older guys that they wanted to keep. Pretty much every older guy they wanted to keep, they kept, which is rare now. So, yeah, there could be a lot of turnover after this year. So, let's enjoy this year.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely enjoy this season. Well, but hey, at least we're not Charlotte.
Good Lord.
Boy, howdy.
Yeah, they're losing starters before the season.
Oh my God.
They did a USF thing. They let
Biff keep talking for way too long.
Yeah,
way too long.
How many times do I say messaging is one of the most important jobs of a college football head coach? You can control the message.
He went to the Charlie Strong School of whoopsies.
Whatever.
No, but they so he went out there, said all that stuff, right? About the starters and how injured they are and everything like that. And then the Charlotte football Twitter account posted about how, like, boasting about their strength and conditioning program. Like an hour later, it was just like you couldn't tee up like a worse tweet.
Yeah, it was.
Scheduled. Bless them.
Yeah, people got to hourly review the scheduled tweets that they're going to be sending out, especially if that's your head coach, because he's going to say some off the wall stuff. And we'll get into a couple nuggets in the Ponderosa about that situation, but I was alerted to it a month ago that things were not great at Charlotte, and
Nathan somehow has a Charlotte insider hookup.
But I'm everywhere. All right, I am literally everywhere. I was told it was a tire fire, and well, brothers, it's a tire
brothers
fire.
And sisters.
It's not great. Looking ahead to Bethune Cookman again, Saturday, 7 p.m. ESPN Plus. This high level, we'll get deep into the Bethune preview in the Ponderosa section. Make sure you guys are subscribed to that extra podcast. We'll be doing film breakdowns again this year. We've got it all. We are literally the best place for your USF coverage. You guys know that by now. Tell your friends. If you find us someone doing it better than us, and I'll take it back. But there isn't. So make sure you subscribe to the Patreon. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Tell your friends. The Substack. We'll be writing more. We've got a preview coming out here shortly this week. And listen, we're better than everybody else. Humbly.
Who's we?
I'm humbly saying that. I just have the Bash Brothers "I'm So Humble" song just playing in the background right now. But head coach, excessive sweater, Raymond Woody is back in Tampa for the first time since 2016. Good Lord. I don't understand how this man got a head coaching job, but God bless him. He's in his second year at Bethune. They went 3-8 in 2023 with losses to Miami, Memphis. They lost the finale. I think it's the Florida Classic against FAMU. They're not good, and they lost a lot of the guys who made them watchable, I guess. Top three receivers. They're going to have a new quarterback. All three coordinators are still there. They have a transfer quarterback in Micah Bowens, who went from Penn State to Oklahoma for a couple years, to Charlotte last year, didn't play. I take that back. He had one snap. It was one rush for negative 13 yards. I'm not entirely sure how that happened. It was against Florida Atlantic. I'll have to look at the game notes and try to find that video. And then now he's at Bethune. He's 5'11", 190 pounds. He was a consensus 3-star coming out of high school from Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas. Just didn't pan out for him. Couple cool notes. Cross Patton is a running back from Nevada by way of Oregon. He is the son of Outcast legend Big Boy. And William Roberts III is a freshman, and his father is Rick Ross. So, got some kin of rap legends at Bethune. 53 college transfers, 21 at least 21. They only named the previous school, and I wasn't going through all of their bios to figure this out, but at least 21 from the FBS level, including former Bull Thomas Nance, who transferred to Tennessee State.
Tennessee
Tech?
State.
Yeah,
Tennessee State. Before making his way to Bethune. He's in, I would assume, year 8 of college football. Hashtag get a job. Former Buck Shelton Quarles, his son Shelton Quarles Jr. plays at Bethune. Raymond Woody III is the starting safety for Bethune. Dante Pimpleton is the co-OC. He was the running backs coach for USF under Willie Taggart. And then he went to Oregon, and then he went to Florida State, and then after that blew up. He was at UMass for a couple of years, and now he's back in Florida. So that's what I've got on Bethune so far. Do you guys have anything to add before we get out of here?
Just that this was not a very good team last year, so this should be one. I think you have a pretty good day on both sides of the ball. And we've got some numbers to talk about once we get into the Ponderosa. Some little advanced stat numbers for Bethune Cookman last year. But yeah, I mean, they played 2 FBS games last year and got hammered in both of them. Memphis, they played Memphis week 1, lost 56-14. Played Miami week 3, lost 48-7. This is not a team that's as good as the FAMU team you played last year. And I think everyone feels like this USF team is better than they were last year. So should be a fun week 1. Now, if you come out and screw around, football's weird, but they're a 40.5-point favorite, I believe. So it'd have to get really, really weird for USF fans not to be excited after the game. So should be a good week 1.
And as you mentioned that, it's a new season. We're going to go against the spread. 1v1v1.
Oh.
The line is 40.5. I didn't prepare you guys for this at all, which is phenomenal.
What's the total?
I don't know. I was barely prepared for it.
It's like Monty Python when he asks, African swallow or European swallow.
There's 7 thirds on Bethune Cookman's roster. 7 the thirds, I should say. That's a lot.
It's hard hit.
That's a lot of the thirds.
That's a lot of clarifications too.
Yes.
I don't like that.
All right, so let's see the total 60.5.
So thinking what, a 40-20 win basically is what it's saying.
50 to 10-ish.
50 to 10. Oh yeah, you're right. I can't do freaking math. Jesus Christ.
That's okay.
At least I'm pretty.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's about what it should be, really. I mean that's what the FBS to FCS records were last year. So,
looks like it's moved down to 38.5.
Yeah, I said that when it came out. I was like, that's a lot of points to cover.
It's a lot.
Because USF's going to get up early.
I think you're happy for scoring 40.
Right. They're going to pull starters pretty quickly.
Well, there's a lot more depth this year, so that would be what you're banking on. Keep running the offense, get everybody experience, You've got some pretty good depth back there. Like this might be a time you get true freshmen playing or more freshmen playing that might have a redshirt opportunity. This could be a time to let them play. So, yeah, it could be. I mean, it's down to 38.5, 60.5 over under. So, can USF score? Do we think USF can score 50-ish points? I guess is the question.
Can they or will they?
Well, both, I suppose.
They can, but I don't think they will. Like, that's a lot of points, man. That means like you're probably scoring at least like 3 touchdowns in the second half, probably.
So here's Bethune. Now they lost some, but here's last year 56. They gave up 56 to Memphis. They gave up 48 to Miami. Gave up 6 to Savannah State, 22 to Jackson State, 19 to Alabama State, 34 to Texas Southern, 28 to Southern, 28 to Grambling, 7 to Mississippi Valley State, 14 to Alabama A&M, and 24 to FAMU. So they were okay defensively, but against the two, but the average giving up about 50 points to the 2 FBS schools. So
yeah, 38.5. I'll say USF covers 38.5.
I'm going to be positive and agree. Just because their pace is so, like they can get, these games can go, they can get up there with the points. If they're sharp early with their pace, they can make it. So
yeah,
I'm going to take it.
And I expect I don't know. I have a weird feeling there's going to be like a defensive touchdown here. I don't know.
We'll talk about that more in the Patreon.
Steeg, what's your pick here?
Yeah, I don't think they cover it. Not necessarily because I think that like Bethune's good or that USF isn't going to live up to expectations, but like I don't know. I'm still living in like the I got to see it before I believe it kind of thing and go in with like low expectations. So no, I don't think. No, I think it'll be like 42-20 or something like that. Like Bethune's going to score in like the second half or something like that.
I see. I get where you're coming from. USF's defense was so atrociously bad last season. However, when they played against very bad quarterbacks, and I'm going to assume Micah Bowens is on his 4th school in nearly as many years, probably because he's a bad quarterback. They dominated. They gave up, 17 to Bama, 0 to Syracuse. Charlotte was also terrible. Like when you don't have a good quarterback, now Micah Bowens did run a 4.5 40 out of high school, so he could provide some issues there. But I don't see it. I don't see this team scoring. I don't see Bethune scoring 20 points. Like I'd be hard pressed to try to find the points there.
According to his bio, he enjoys bowling and traveling. So
Yeah,
that's what I have for you.
He ain't scoring 24. Yeah. Enjoying bowling and traveling.
Mm-hmm. And almost an unfortunate birthday, but we'll get into that on Ponderosa.
Look at all these nuggets. These are what we call teases in the business.
Yeah. So D going Bethune Cookman plus 38.5 because he hates USF.
Yeah.
Got it.
I'm such a hater.
All right, I've written that down. All right. Thanks for tuning in to the season opening edition of Pod by the Bay. Make sure you download, subscribe, tell your friends, and also join the Patreon. $5 a month, get you into the Discord. 10 get you an extra podcast and some film rooms throughout the course of the season. It's going to be a fun year, so make sure you take advantage of that. It's the best bet around. It's the best value for your buck.
You'll get. I think last year during football season, we put out, it was about 10-ish pieces of content extra on the Patreon a week or a month. So you probably got like 40 pieces of content during football season last year, pretty close to it. So that $10 goes far.
Agreed. With that, be safe, have fun, hydrate, go Bulls.
Go Bulls.
Go Bulls.